Desmond's hands didn't shake when he rebuilt engines. They didn't tremble when he diagnosed problems that stumped dealership mechanics. But right now, standing in his own shop, while a woman in designer heels laughed at his expertise, his fingers tightened around that wrench like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Are you sure someone like you can handle a vehicle this expensive? 5 words. That's all it took to reduce 20 years of skill to nothing. But here's what she didn't know. The humiliation she served that afternoon, it was about to become the fuel for something she never saw coming. Have you ever been judged before you even open your mouth? Before we go further, drop a comment and tell me, have you or someone you know faced this kind of disrespect? Because this story, it's probably closer to home than you think. Desmond Carter learned to fix cars the way some kids learn to ride bikes. Naturally, inevitably, like it was coded into his DNA. His grandfather's garage in rural Georgia smelled like motor oil and possibility. Old man Carter would let young Desmond hold the flashlight, then the wrench, then eventually trust him with the whole job. Excellence doesn't ask for permission, boy. It just shows up and does the work. Those words became Desmond's compass. By 35, he'd opened his own place on the edge of Savannah, Carter's Auto Repair. Nothing fancy. No gleaming showroom or corporate backing. Just honest work, fair prices, and a reputation built one satisfied customer at a time. Oil changes, brake jobs, complex transmission overhauls that made other shops nervous. Desmond handled it all with the same meticulous care his grandfather taught him. But here's the thing about running a small business as a black man in America. The warmth of that childhood garage didn't follow him into adulthood. The world had a way of questioning his credentials before he ever touched a vehicle. Some days, respect felt like something he had to earn twice, once for the skills, and again just for existing. Most customers were kind, good people who valued his work and paid on time. But every now and then, someone walked through those bay doors carrying assumptions heavier than any engine block. And on this particular Tuesday afternoon, one of those someones arrived in a pearl-white luxury SUV that cost more than Desmond's annual revenue. Her name was Victoria Vanderhill, and she was about to test every lesson his grandfather ever taught him. The SUV purred into his shop like a predator entering unfamiliar territory. Desmond wiped his hands on his coveralls and approached with his standard greeting, professional, warm, ready to help. Victoria Vanderhill stepped out in clothes that probably cost what he charged for a full engine rebuild. She didn't make eye contact, just tossed her keys toward him like he was valet parking, not a certified master technician. The engine light's on. I need it diagnosed and fixed. Today. Absolutely, ma'am. Let me run a full diagnostic. And... wait. She finally looked at him, really looked, and something shifted in her expression. A smirk played at the corner of her mouth. You're the owner? You're the actual mechanic? The question hung in the air like exhaust fumes. Yes, ma'am. 20 years experience, ASE Master Certified, specialized in European. It's just... She interrupted, glancing back at her SUV like it might object to his proximity. This is a very expensive vehicle. Very sophisticated systems. Are you sure someone like you has experience with this level of engineering? Someone like you. 3 words carrying the weight of centuries. Desmond had heard variations of this melody before, but it never stopped landing like a gut punch wrapped in politeness. Ma'am, I assure you, because my husband specifically said to take it to the dealership. Her voice grew louder, performing now. But they're backed up for weeks, and I thought, well, maybe a local shop could handle something simple. But if this is beyond your capabilities, I can wait for professionals. Then her friends arrived. 2 women in similar uniforms of wealth, pulling up in their own luxury vehicles, stepping out with iced coffees and curiosity. Victoria waved them over, and suddenly Desmond's shop became a stage for public humiliation. Is this the place? One of them asked, scanning the modest garage with barely concealed disdain. I'm reconsidering, Victoria announced, loud enough for Desmond and anyone within 50 feet to hear. I'm just not confident that, well, you understand. If you've ever been in Desmond's position, judged, dismissed, doubted before you could prove yourself, hit that like button right now. Because what happens next? It's a masterclass in dignity. Desmond didn't respond to Victoria's mockery. He simply nodded, took her keys, and rolled the SUV into his bay. As the door closed behind him, blocking out their laughter, something his grandfather once told him surfaced like oil rising through water. You know about Charlie Wiggins, boy? Charlie Wiggins, the black mechanic from Indianapolis who became a legend despite every system working against him. In the 1920s, when racism barred black drivers from mainstream racing, Charlie didn't wait for permission or approval. He built his own shop, tuned his own engines, created his own racing circuit, the Gold and Glory Sweepstakes, where black drivers could compete with dignity. They called him the Negro Speed King. White establishment mechanics said he couldn't possibly understand complex engines, said someone like him didn't belong in racing, said his success was luck, not skill. Charlie answered by winning, by building, by showing up every single day and doing exceptional work that spoke louder than any insult. As Desmond connected the diagnostic computer to Victoria's SUV, he felt the weight of that legacy. Charlie Wiggins never saw the prejudice disappear. He just refused to let it determine his worth. Every bolt Desmond turned, every system he analyzed, carried the echo of mechanics who came before him, men who proved excellence through action, not argument. Victoria Vanderhill wanted to see incompetence. Desmond would show her mastery instead. The problem revealed itself within 20 minutes. Faulty oxygen sensor triggering the engine light. But something else caught Desmond's attention. Something that made his trained eye narrow with concern. The brake system pressure was off. Way off. He ran additional tests. Then he found it. A brake line replacement done incorrectly during her last dealership service. The fitting wasn't properly torqued. In another 1,000 miles, maybe less, that brake line could have failed. At highway speeds, with her kids in the car, with other families around her. This wasn't just about fixing what she came in for anymore. 2 hours later, he had replaced the oxygen sensor, properly reinstalled the brake line fitting, bled the entire brake system, and run a comprehensive safety inspection. He documented everything with photos and detailed notes. When he opened the bay door, Victoria and her friends were still there, sitting in their cars, scrolling phones, occasionally glancing his way with expressions that said they expected disappointment. Desmond approached her window, professional, composed, carrying a tablet with his findings. "Miss Vanderhill, your vehicle is ready." She stepped out, arms crossed, prepared for excuses or inflated charges. Instead, Desmond walked her through everything, showed her the diagnostic codes, explained the oxygen sensor replacement in terms she could understand. No condescension, no jargon meant to confuse. Then he showed her the photos of the brake line. "Your last service, probably about 8 months ago, they didn't torque this fitting correctly. See this gap? That's a critical safety issue. Another month or two, this could have failed completely. I've corrected it, tested it thoroughly, and documented everything. No additional charge for the brake work. That's a safety issue, not an upsell." She stared at the photos, at the detailed report, at this man she'd mocked standing there having potentially saved her life, while she questioned his humanity. The dealership missed this? "Yes, ma'am." Victoria paid, thanked him quietly, and drove away. Desmond figured that was the end of it. Another customer served with excellence despite their assumptions. Another day of proving his worth to people who should have never questioned it. But 3 hours later, his phone rang. "Mr. Carter? This is Victoria Vanderhill." Her voice was different now. Smaller. Human. I need to apologize. The way I spoke to you today was inexcusable. You did exceptional work. You caught a problem that could have hurt my family. And I treated you like you were incapable before you even touched my car. I'm deeply sorry. Desmond let the silence hold for a moment. "I appreciate that, Miss Vanderhill. I've already left you a 5-star review and recommended you to my husband's business partners. That's the least I can do. Thank you for your professionalism. You're an exceptional mechanic." That phone call became a turning point. Not because Victoria's apology erased the humiliation. It didn't. Not because her recommendation suddenly made him successful. He already was. but because it crystallized something Desmond had been circling around for years. He'd been playing defense his entire career, proving himself to every skeptic, answering every doubt, justifying his existence in a field where he'd already earned his place. What if he went on offense instead? Desmond started hosting free automotive workshops for local teenagers, especially kids from neighborhoods where opportunities felt limited. He taught them diagnostics, showed them career paths, introduced them to the pride of mastering a skilled trade. Some of those kids became his apprentices. A few would eventually open their own shops. He invested in professional social media content, short videos explaining common car problems, showing his repair process, building a digital presence that let his expertise speak before anyone could make assumptions. He attended trade shows, networked with other shop owners, shared knowledge generously because excellence multiplied when it wasn't hoarded. Pause the video right now and hit that subscribe button, because what Desmond built next, it's the blueprint for turning prejudice into power. And you're going to want to see how this ends. Within 2 years, Carter's Auto Repair had doubled its business. His Google reviews read like love letters to craftsmanship. Customers drove from 3 counties away specifically requesting him. His waiting list stretched weeks ahead. But here's what mattered most. New customers arrived without assumptions. They came because they'd heard about his skill, his integrity, his diagnostic genius. They came not despite who he was, but because of what he'd built. Victoria Vanderhill, she became a regular customer, and she never made assumptions again. Here's the truth that Desmond learned. The same truth that Charlie Wiggins knew back in the 1920s. The same truth that every person who's been underestimated eventually discovers. Not perfect, not superhuman, not magical, just consistent, undeniable, documented excellence that builds reputation one interaction at a time. Prejudice wants you to shrink, to doubt yourself, to accept less because others see you as less. But excellence? Excellence is defiant. It shows up every single day and does exceptional work whether anyone's watching or not. It answers questions that were never fairly asked with results that can't be denied. From Charlie Wiggins building engines in the 1920s to Desmond Carter diagnosing computers in the 2020s, the path hasn't been easy. It hasn't been fair. But it's been walked by people who refuse to let others' limitations become their own ceiling. Desmond didn't change Victoria Vanderhill's mind with arguments or anger. He changed it with a perfectly torqued brake line fitting and a safety inspection that saved her family. He changed it by being undeniably, professionally, thoroughly excellent at his craft. And every young person who walks through his shop doors now, they inherit that legacy. They learn that their worth isn't determined by who doubts them, but by the quality of work they consistently deliver. Before you go, drop a comment telling me about someone in your life who overcame judgment through pure excellence. Share this video with them. They need to see this story. And if this inspired you, subscribe, because every week, we're bringing you real stories about real people who prove that dignity and skill trump prejudice every single time. Your move is your message. Make it excellent.